Greetings, everybody. Thanks for joining me for my first update of 2023. This is Electric Avenue's YouTube channel, January 6th, new release date. How y'all doing? I hope you made it through the holidays unscathed, better than me. As you probably are aware if you were watching previous videos, I lost my cat. I was fighting illness. I have a sick person in the family, and then we had a flood, minor one, but so it was kind of a tumultuous time. So I'm ready for 2023 to be calmer. Thanks for watching these videos over and over, by the way. I really appreciate that. I'm not out there soliciting tons of viewership or anything. It's always annoying when YouTube puts you on sort of like, oh, you gotta watch this as soon as you get through one of the ads and all that. So unless you do ad blockers and things, but I don't have the sophistication of like editing and graphics and all that right at this point. I'm just trying to inform the people who care to watch these things. And so if I get a little rambly, I'm sorry. It's, that's when a sort of edit button might come in handy. On that note, I will go ahead and show you this week's new releases as what has arrived at this point. Now, there's really, early January, there's not a lot of new stuff, like new stuff. But one that we've sort of been waiting for here already is the new Iggy Pop album. Every Loser, and this is on indie exclusive Blood Red vinyl. I think that the thing to sort of know about this is actually the single is very good. I have not heard the album yet, but it was produced by Andrew Watt, who's currently working with Paul McCartney supposedly, and did work with Ozzy on his recent record. And so as someone eloquently put that to me the other day, it's like he's the old rock star whisperer, the young guy who sort of can coax good music out of them. So anyway, check out the new Iggy Pop. All right, so and then reissues. There's going to be a lot of reissues. First of all, Tori Amos. Little Earthquakes, her debut album, as I have it sitting right here also. So this album, incredible. This was the album that sort of won me over. So the thing with this has been out on vinyl before, but it was a 1 LP edition when it was really remastered, released like 5-6 years ago. And apparently there was some grumbling about like, oh, this really should have been a 2 LP edition because the album's rather long. I probably would have agreed with that, so that's what we're getting here is a 2 LP edition. I don't know if it's the same remaster. I'm assuming it is, even though it says, it just says remastered. It doesn't really tell you which remaster. It was a good remaster. It was a little bit echoey, but I think it sounded more round and full than the sort of flat CD did. So they did Under the Pink, the second album, the same way, and I think that one had more complaints about the sound of it. So that has already been issued as a 2 LP several months ago. And so getting this one done. Now my only desire is that they'll do this with some of her other albums. I mean, Boys for Pele has been sort of off and on in the marketplace. You can sometimes find that. But From the Choir Girl Hotel, the fourth album, I mean, I was lucky enough to buy one of those when I saw it in the store 20-some years ago, 24. I can't remember. It's been a long time. And I think a lot of people would like to own that record, but it's several $100s online now. So hoping that Atlantic gets around to doing that, and a remaster of that. Also, To Venus and Back, I thought was a great, at least the studio part, the studio and live studio part was really great. It would be great to see that. I don't think that's ever been on vinyl to my knowledge. And same with Strange Little Girls, the covers album that she put out around then. And then she switched labels and went to Sony and Scarlet's Walk and those. And some of those would be great to see too, but I won't hold my breath because it's taking this long just to get these out. So But at least it would be great to get the Atlantic ones done because they were all so popular. All right, and also B-sides. She had some great B-sides from even from that era. Flying Dutchman is like a great lost Kate Bush song, and it's not on vinyl anywhere. It would be great to see them do something a little more expanded than just what they have here, but still, beggars can't be choosers. All right, next. So start your ear off right with Rhino. We've got Dire Straits' Money for Nothing. This is a 2 LP green vinyl edition. Includes a previously unreleased alternate live version of Portobello Bell, and it was remastered by Bob Ludwig, cut by Vernie Grunman. Green vinyl, 2 LPs, pretty cool. I love seeing Rhino do this Start Your Ear Off campaign every year, and this year we get something that's like as expansive as this. This has Money for Nothing, Brothers in Arms, Walk of Life, yeah, Sultans of Swing, all live. So that's pretty cool. They used to have Rhino Day, and I think that they just got so many records that now they sort of filter throughout the month. But this is probably the biggest week for things. ZZ Top, a gold vinyl edition of Eliminator. This album is getting kind of hard to find in stores now. And so I would say, snag it while you can. 40th anniversary gold vinyl pressing. So, this album is iconic. Give Me All Your Lovin', Sharp Dressed Man, and Legs. 3 of their biggest hits. Also, Rhino Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. And this is a Peter Gabriel fronted record. Features Firth of Fifth, 1975. And this is on crystal clear vinyl. One nice thing about most of these, Dire Straits is a little more because it's 2 LPs, but most of these are around $25, which is not going to break the bank. Coltrane's Olé. Olé Coltrane. This is 1961 Spanish modal masterpiece on crystal clear vinyl. And Rhino does a pretty good job with their remastering too. Yes, Fragile. Yeah, this is an album that a lot of times you could find it used in stores. It's gotten more expensive, but to have a brand new edition on crystal clear vinyl, $25, gatefold cover. Nice presentation, Rhino. Thank you for doing this. Rocktober was a great success. I thought they had albums by In Excess, the B-52s, the Cars, Talking Heads, Caius. There were a lot of things there. We still have a lot of those hanging around too. Otis Redding sings soul ballads. The great Otis Redding sings soul ballads. Get the title right. Originally on Volt Records. This is limited edition translucent blue vinyl. 1965, features Mr. Pitiful, It's Too Late, and That's How Strong My Love Is. One of his most iconic releases. Let's see, the Ramones, Subterranean Avenue. You don't see this record very often, and you certainly don't see reissues of it much. They've really done, they always do the first 4 and then sort of stop. This is a 1983 album, includes Outsider and Psychotherapy, released on limited edition Violet vinyl. Not violent, but Violet, although I guess that could be up for, I don't know, they weren't violent. Hey, Johnny Thunders, that's a cool reissue. Another Rhino debut solo album from New York Dolls guitarist. Includes Steve Jones and Paul Cook of the Sex Pistols, Phil Lynott of Thin Lizzy, Steve Marriott of Humble Pie, Small Faces and Chrissy Hind, and more. New liner notes by Lenny Kaye. Doesn't say if it's color vinyl, but still a record that's pretty hard to find, I think. So Alone was the name of that. Sorry about that. Warren Zevon. Let's see. A Quiet Normal Life. This is sort of a greatest hits kind of record of the Atlantic years. Starts with Werewolves of London. Includes Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me. And it is pressed on translucent grape vinyl. Interesting. Gotta give it to Warren. All right. Oh, Velvet Underground's Loaded. Let's see. This is on crystal clear vinyl. Also includes Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll. $25. Not a bad. I think most of the reissues of it, just regular reissues, are that much or more. So cool. Billy Cobham, Spectrum. I mean, I used to see these all the time. They're actually very scarce now, and the ones that I see out there are usually beat up. This includes Stratus, Red Baron, and Quadrant 4. It's his debut 1973 album on crystal clear vinyl. I believe there were a bunch of guest people on this too that were of note. The information is not on the sticker. The names escape me, but that's a pretty iconic jazz fusion type record. Jerry Rafferty, his album City to City. So a lot of people would know this from Baker Street, that sort of nagging saxophone riff, but it's great song. Stealin' Time, The Ark, Right Down the Line. Bonnie Raitt covered that a few years ago. And this is cool because it's a 2 LP edition. It doesn't say anything about that on the cover, but it's stretched out, pressed on 3 sides, with a 4th side that's left blank. But the stretching out of that should improve the audio fidelity of it. I would consider this kind of close to what an audiophile pressing of that album would be. All right. So leaving the Rhino stuff for now, speaking of other jazz, Skolahofo, which is John Schofield, and he's partnered with Dave Holland, let's see, Joe Lovano, and Al Foster. This album was actually released in the early 2002. But it says cut directly from original analog tapes. So it seems to be an analog release, reissue, supervised by Joe Harley, mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio. Just like all the other Tone Poets, this is an actual series, a Tone Poets series title. So that's pretty cool that that's out this week. And it feels thick and heavy, and it's gotten rather expensive. They're in the sort of $60 range for that one. So, all right, other jazz of note. Speaking of John Scofield, we also get John Scofield self-titled from ECM Records. This is electric guitar and loopers, his description on the back. Pieces by Keith Jarrett, Jimmy Van Heusen, traditional. Hank Williams, You Win Again, his version of that. Junko partner. Let's see. Yeah, it's a fairly, I would say, reasonably priced, $30. Oh, it's also got his version of Not Fade Away, the Buddy Holly song. Keeping with the jazz, Sun Ra, Prophet. It's a very cool cover. This is later Sun Ra from the mid-late 80s, August 1986. And Sun Ra was playing the Prophet VS synthesizer. So there's that plus an array of saxes, percussion, trumpets, bass, ancient Egyptian infinity, lightning, and thunder drum, and bassoon, congas, June Tyson on vocals, and Sun. It's sort of an interesting archival release. Again, I don't see this very often. This is on Modern Harmonic Records. Let's see, another one on Craft Recordings. We get Willie Colon, Hector Lavoe, El Juicio. I'm not sure how you pronounce that when it's Spanish. But yeah, this is another Latin jazz classic that you just don't see very often anywhere new. Their third gold record by the Salsa Duo. all analog mastering from Kevin Gray, one of the busiest men in the record business, um, who is not a recording artist himself. Benjamin Lackner on ECM. And this album, Benjamin is a pianist, and there's a picture of the group. He's joined by Manu Katché on drums, who many people might know as a member of Sting and Peter Gabriel's bands, French drummer. So anyway, there's a couple other names on there I'm not familiar with, but looks like a cool jazz release. I'm always like happy to see new jazz and not just reissues of everything. Let's see. Fela Kuti's Aphrodisiac. They've been doing Fela reissues over the last few years. This one is a special 50th anniversary reissue, 45 RPM on red marbled and green marbled vinyl. So I'm sure the records are quite attractive. And yeah, 50 years. Hard to believe, I know. Okay. Sierra Farrell. Long time coming. This album has been out before, but this is a repressing. It had been sort of out of print. And this is the metallic gold vinyl indie store exclusive. So that's nice to see that out. Let's see. We've got the new Noah Cyrus, Miley's sister. This album's called The Hardest Part. I have not heard this. A lot of people tell me that they think that Noah is sort of the more talented version of the two. I don't know because I have nothing to compare that to. I have no frame of reference. But there are a couple of people who are this album is dedicated to who've passed away, which I think sort of with the kind of somber cover art probably has something to do with that. So maybe you should check that out. Okay, Justice or Justice, French electronic duo, Across the Universe. This is a live record that they put out, first time on vinyl, double LP. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the soundtrack to the documentary. Yeah, this has never been on vinyl before, so it's cool to see that come out. These guys do just amazing electronic music, especially the earlier stuff that they did. Yeah, so this originally was out in 2008, so it's a 2022 reissue on Ed Banger. The other one that they have out is Planisphere 1, 2, 3, 4. So this was like a kind of extended EP release in a way, 18 minutes. I don't think this has been out on vinyl before either, but and of course all their covers have these sort of cross imagery usually, and this is an etched black limited edition, so I think it's a one-sided record. Okay, then we get into some soundtrack things. We have Disney's Enchanted, which has stuff Amy Adams, Carrie Underwood, and then a bunch of score material. Then we have, this should be popular, The Lion King on Broadway. Nice to see this on vinyl finally. And this has songs that were in the movie soundtrack, like I Just Can't Wait to Be King, Can You Feel the Love Tonight, but it also has songs like They Live in You, Hakuna Matata. You either know The Lion King or you have no interest. Once, the Broadway version, it's nice to see that out too. Once is such a great piece of music, and it's nice that there's a Broadway version. I think that there was the actual movie soundtrack was out on vinyl for a while. It might still be hanging around. I just haven't seen it for a while. And then finally, I don't know what to say about this because I don't know anything about it, but Death Western, and this is not a soundtrack, this is Spirit World. It says Somewhere South of Heaven and West of Hell. For fans of Slayer, Pantera, and Hatebreed, limited 180-gram vinyl poster with an LP booklet. I mean, it's sort of worth it just for the cover art alone, don't you think? The first song is called Mojave Bloodlust. The last song is called A Thousand Deaths. So there you go. Happy New Year. All right, so one little CD of note I'll throw in there is Run the Jewels Quattro, which is basically a reimagining of their fourth album, done with Latino artists and like Bomba Estéreo. A bunch of these people, I don't know who they are, but it also says special appearance by Lin-Manuel Miranda. That guy is everywhere. So there's that. I think that was originally supposed to be a record store day or a Black Friday record store day thing, and it sort of missed the boat. Okay, so next week, January 13th, not a lot of releases. Next week is sort of like the dip. We always have this, I think, in January, where you get one strong week, a week that's kind of low, and then it starts sort of taking off after that. So next week, the big things would probably be the Bob Weir reissue of Ace, Margot Price's new album, Kid Cudi's recent album on vinyl, Chicago, they have their greatest hits as part of the Rhino program, Information Society, The Selector, they have a reissue, Gentle Giant is a reissue, trying to remember which is, I think it's called Civilian. Anyway, and then the James Brown and Mel Brown reissues that I've been mentioning that were pushed back from December. Those I think are going to be sort of sought after. They're in the new Verve by Request series, and also reissues from Warrant. Is it Dirty, Filthy, Stinking Rich, I think, and They Might Be Giants picture disc. And then someone, a duo named Rachel and Vilray, who I have sort of a buzz and were on morning TV last weekend. And they're supposed to be great. So, I mean, I could say, well, there's a Charles Manson release coming out, but anyway, moving along. January 20th, that's the big week. We finally get the Wilco album that we've been waiting since last May for them to put on vinyl. We also get the Rolling Stones, the mono box set of that, and that's all on colored vinyl. So you got $500 to blow. But Days of the New, that's an album that I think a lot of people who love 90s rock will be looking for, and it's their debut album. Is coming out on vinyl finally. UFO, No Heavy Petting, B-52's Whammy, is part of the Rhino. A couple of jazz titles from Bethlehem, Art Blakey and Duke Ellington, some reissues from Uriah Heep, Motorhead, Raekwon, new albums from John Cale, Mac DeMarco. I think that might be instrumental. A couple of Blue Note titles in the classic series from Grant Green and Bobby Hutcherson. So those are all coming supposedly January 20th. And I'll cover more of that when we get closer to that. And the 27th, I'm just going to kind of touch on January here. The 27th is a big day for box sets, it seems like. And maybe some of them were postponed from the fall, that they couldn't get them out in time because of the problems with supply chain. But we have the Bob Dylan Time Out of Mind box set. Yes, we'll have the CD box set, the 2 CD version, and I think the 4 LP version, and there may be a smaller LP version of that. The 10 LP version, Sony is once again screwing indie stores and not allowing them to sell it. It's only available through his website, so whatever, thanks. The other box sets that come out that day, Elvis has a live on tour CD box set, the New Order Low Life box set, which includes that album and then a bunch of CD EPs and things like that. And the Green Day Nimrod box set also comes out January 27th. So a lot of box sets that day. Rhino continues with putting out The Cure's Wish on regular vinyl and not just a picture disc, which is great. I think some people probably feel like, well, maybe I should have waited. But look, your picture discs, actually, they sound really good and they'll be collectible. So, but some of you, like me, will probably want to get that one too because I love that record. Oh, I also forgot to mention there's a Thin Lizzy box set, Live and Dangerous. It's a CD box set, and that's an import, I believe. Pretty expensive. That's coming out the same day. Some other things, yeah, I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned Curtis Mayfield. That's part of also the Rhino stuff. New albums that day, The Arcs, which is Dan Auerbach of Black Keys, side band that he hasn't done in a while. Sam Smith has an album, El King. And then a couple other reissues of note. Luna have an album coming on vinyl. Marianne Faithfull's Kissin' Time, which if you guys, I don't know how many of you heard that album, but that was a great album from her. It had collaborations from Beck, Jarvis Cocker, Dave Stewart, Damon Albarn, and Billy Corgan. So sort of a big album for her, with more sort of modern people from the time. There's a John Coltrane reissue called In the Winner's Circle that comes out that day. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be kind of a lot towards the end of the month. There are many other things that I haven't mentioned, like King Tuff, Kimbra, Ava Max. I could go on. Anyway, so thank you so much for watching this. I'm going to try and keep these videos under half an hour because I think I just get too long-winded. And there was a lot this week to cover, so I appreciate that. And please stay happy, healthy, enjoy your 2023. Keep supporting indie record shops like ours because, you know, we've sort of been through a lot with all of the supply chain and the inflation, and you know, I've sort of mentioned that in recent videos too. So I really appreciate everything that you guys do. You're really positive in helping us out, those of you that help us out and actually walk the walk when you talk the talk. So thank you. Peace for 2023. All right, take care. See you next week.